What's going on, YouTube? I'm AJ, and today we're going to do a video I've kind of had floating around in my head for a little while, tried to put together, which is how to get the most usage out of my reviews. Now, this is a video I attempted to make before and actually recorded and didn't care for how it turned out, so I never posted it, but today we're going to give it another go. Now, format-wise, my reviews are a very simple format. So I start off with a brief intro, kind of tell you about the gun we're reviewing, give you any insight if I have any backstory about the company, my experiences with the company, and then we move on over to the tabletop portion. Now, the tabletop, I think, is the most important part of the video because that's where we kind of go through the gun, nitpick the details, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, really get a breakdown of what each individual gun manufacturer is giving you with their product, which, at least for me, if I was shopping for a 2011, that's the type of stuff that I personally find most important. After that, we move over to a range portion, which I do simply because, look, we all like to see the guns shoot. And though I'm no Jerry Miculek, it's hard to put a lot of value in somebody's opinion if they don't show you what they can at least do with the pistol. So I throw that in there. And then lastly, we close out with the final thoughts portion where I just kind of wrap up my overall experience with that in particular pistol and give you my 2 cents on it. It's simple, kind of dry, very niche, and made with the intent of providing usable information for people who are looking to spend their hard-earned money on these pistols rather than for the sake of pure entertainment. Now, don't get me wrong. I still love the entertainment-based GunTuber channels as much as anyone. I still watch them. And if what you're looking for from a 2011 review is more along the lines of purchase validation or something fun, go hit up 1911 Syndicate. They make great videos, and it doesn't matter whether you purchase a TSOS or an Infinity, they'll tell you why you struck gold. Over here, I don't let the guns stand on ceremony, and if I think something could have been done better, regardless of builder, I'm going to point it out. And that leads me to the point of the video. I've said it before, I'll say it a million more times, there is no one perfect 2011, and personal preference is king. Obviously, like everybody else, I have my own personal preferences. I tend to be more tactically oriented, so I like a lighter 2011, big fan of compensators. I like my triggers around 2.5 pounds, and I usually have them set up so that they excel in running plate racks and 5x50 drills, because those are my go-tos. I like a gun that's quick in hand, transitions fast, and I'll happily trade less weight for more compensation. On top of that, I obsess about controls like thumb safeties and slide stops like an absolute psychopath. Because others, those things might not matter, and that's completely fine. Because ultimately what I'm trying to do with my reviews is lay out the objectives to a point where my preferences really don't matter, and you can still get usable information to tell you whether or not that gun's going to be right for you. Furthermore, I don't put a lot of consideration in the actual configuration of the gun. I'm more concerned with how the manufacturer is making each individual gun. So if you're more of a limited optics shooter, you don't much care for compensators or ports, that's fine, because what I'm discussing is how that individual manufacturer is building their gun, and that should have carryover across their range, regardless whether you want a comp gun, an open gun, limited optics gun, an iron sight gun, so on and so forth. If you can watch my video and say, hey, I prefer a 50-ounce gun with a smooth grip module, I prefer Atlas trigger shoes, I want sub 2-pound triggers, and I could not care less about slide stops, then you're getting just as much value out of the video as somebody who agrees with every preference that I have. Because you're going through the gun detail by detail with me and identifying the things that you like. And maybe finding a gun worth taking a serious look at for yourself, even if at the end of my final thoughts, I say is a gun that's not particularly my cup of tea. For example, if you take a look at my Cabot Insurrection video, I was not particularly fond of that gun. Really didn't do anything for me. But at the same time, that doesn't negate the fact that it had a lot of very good things going on for it, and for some people, may very well be the perfect 2011. Switch over to Infinity. They make a phenomenal gun, one of the best money can buy, but they also have some quirks that are not often talked about that might not be to everybody's preference, and in some cases have left to some moderate buyer's remorse for people who have switched over to Infinity from something like an Atlas. For others, Infinity makes the perfect gun, to which there could be no substitute. Ultimately, neither of the people in either of those examples are wrong. Personal preference. Ultimately, there isn't a perfect 2011 for everyone. And instead of letting these guns stand on ceremony due to their often exorbitant price tags, we can deep dive the minutia to better find the guns that meet your use case, regardless of anyone else's preferences or shilling. So that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you're getting some usage out of these. I got some cool ones coming up in the not too distant future. So if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time.